Hello, sixth grade. I told you that I was going to post a video about relationships of angles and parallel lines, and that is exactly what we're going to be doing today. So up here I have a figure of two parallel lines. Those purple lines are parallel lines. That green line is the transversal. So that was a quick review because we talked about that before you left, right? So with this and with this video, there was going to be an assignment that goes with it. This assignment is going to be found under classwork. It's going to be assignment number 2 for math. And you have to watch the video and then fill out the Google form and submit it. All of the questions I am going to ask you on this video, so I know that you're actually watching the videos. All right, so you have to watch the video in order to know the questions for the Google form. You cannot do one without the other. Now that we have that all clear, we're just going to go ahead and jump in to the lesson. So again, this is a parallel line figure and all different kinds of angles up there that have different relationships. In order to review, parallel lines mean that they will never intersect. So that's the question for number 1. It's going to say parallel lines and then never intersect will be your answer. All right. Within these different angles and relationships, some of them are going to be congruent. The second question in your Google form asks you, what does congruent mean? So question number 2 is, what does congruent mean? Congruent means that angles are equal to each other. So if they're congruent, they are the same degree, the same measurement, they are equal. So that's question number 2. Moving on to question number 3, it's going to ask, what are the 5 relationships to help solve for angles? So each and every single angle you see up there is related to a different angle. We've talked about this before, but I'm just going to go over that real quick. Number 3 is going to ask what the 5 different relationships are, and those 5 are these. All right, I'll bring it back here a little bit. The very first one is going to be corresponding. The second is going to be alternating interior. Third is alternating exterior. The fourth is vertical angles. And then the fifth is supplementary angles. Now I know that we've gone over this before, but I do just want to go one by one and explain what each one is, because you'll end up using those in your homework that I'm going to be posting, I think Monday or Friday or something. I'm not quite for sure. I don't remember. So to go over corresponding angles. Corresponding angles are found on the same side of the transversal. So they're going to either be on this side or this side of the transversal. They're also going to be on the same side of the parallel lines. So they're either going to be above, or both below, or both below. All right. Looking at this, corresponding angles. We have angle 1 and angle 5. Do you see how they're in the same spot within this group of 4? They're in the upper left-hand corner. Same thing down here. That 5 is in the upper left-hand corner. So angle 1 and angle 5 are corresponding. We're going to go ahead and go into alternating interior angles. So interior is like the meat of the sandwich. I think you guys remember me doing that. We're looking on the inside of these parallel lines. So alternating, it's every other. So they're going to be on opposite sides of the transversal, but they have to be inside of these parallel lines. So the alternating interior angles for this figure are going to be angle 4 and angle 5. You see how they're on opposite sides of the transversal. And then angle 3 and angle 6. Those are alternating interior. The next relationship that we have is alternating exterior. So now instead of the inside, we're talking about the bread of the sandwich. So we're looking on the outside. And again, they're going to be on the opposite sides of this transversal, which is the green line. We have angles 1 and angles 8 that are alternating exterior. We also have angle 2 and angle 7 that are alternating exterior. Moving on, vertical angles. We've talked about this one before. Vertical angles are directly across from each other. So looking at this group right up here, this angle 1, angle 2, angle 3, angle 4, those vertical angles, okay, are going to be angles 1 and angles 4. They're directly across from each other, straight line. You see that? The other pair is going to be angle 2 and angle 3. Again, directly across from each other. You can see that. Down here, we're going to have angle 5 and angle 8 for vertical angles. And then angle 6 and angle 7. So directly across is vertical angles. To go over that again, it's going to be corresponding, alternating interior, alternating exterior, and vertical angles. All of those angle pairs are congruent. All right. So if I'm talking about vertical angles and angle 1 is equal to 120 degrees, then angle 4 is also going to be equal to 120 degrees. If I'm talking about corresponding angles and angle 2 is equal to 80 degrees, then that means that angle 6 is also going to be equal to 80 degrees. All right. So again, those first 4, they are all congruent. The fifth relationship is the one where it gets a little bit different, and we're talking about supplementary angles. To review, supplementary means that that is equal to 180 degrees. Different supplementary angles looking at this are any angles that are right next to each other that form a straight line. So each line up here is straight, even the transversal. So angles 1 and angles 2, all together, this whole thing would be equal to 180 degrees. Those are supplementary angles. Angles 3 and angles 1, again, that's a straight line, but on the transversal, you see how that's a straight line, and these two angles make up 180 degrees. All right. Moving on to go ahead and put what I just said in context and a little bit of practice. The fourth question on your assignment for the Google form is going to be, what angles are corresponding? I want you to list all of the angles that are corresponding. Pause the video, try it on your own. All right, in a moment I'm going to go over it, but I want you to try this one on your own. Okay, since you've paused and you've clearly done it on your own, I hope so, I'm going to go over the corresponding angles. The correct corresponding angle pairs are going to be angle 1 and angle 5, angle 3 and angle 7, angle 2 and angle 6, and then angle 4 and angle 8. And again, that's the answer to question number 4. Moving on. I want you to use, again, what we've all talked about, and we're going to go over question 5 in your assignment, which is, what will angle 6 equal if angle 3 is equal to 120 degrees? So, this angle right here, oh wow, that's beautiful handwriting, is equal to 120 degrees. What is angle 6 equal to then? The first thing you have to do is figure out the relationship between angle 3 and angle 6. The relationship between both of those angles is alternating interior. You see how they're both inside, but they're on opposite sides of the transversal. So it means that they're alternating interior angles. We know the alternating interior angles are equal to 120 degrees. So if angle 3, that they are congruent. Not that they're equal to 120 degrees, I got ahead of myself. Alternating interior angles are congruent. So if angle 3 is equal to 120 degrees and they're congruent, then that means that angle 6 has to also be equal to 120 degrees. And that was the answer for number 5. So it asks, what will angle 6 equal if angle 3 is equal to 120 degrees? It will equal 120 degrees because they are congruent, because they are alternating interior angles. All right, that's all that I have for you today. Remember to pause the video when you need to, go back and replay something, email me if you have questions. You guys got this. All right,